don't know if this warrior is ready for this, but we'll find out. The crux of nothingness. Oh, we seem to do okay.
A cowardly trick. It won't save you.
The Wildwood's power is mine!
I'm not ready.
Nothingness!
I need more time.
Oblivion awaits!
Boom. Easy peasy. Let's do this thing, sir. Got some walls here for you. Not bad. Round two. Ooh, hey. With the after combat lasers and the degen. Osis sure does jump around a lot.
Believe me, you will fall exile.
Oh no! Look at the armor! It's so bad! Oh my god, why do we have armor? I mean, it's just a T-15 Delirious, right guys? I'm sorry, a Wave 15 Delirious. Definitely. Armor is still bad. No worries, monkey. Lokati here. Today we're going to go over mapping on our Shieldmaster Warrior. We have switched him over to Warbringer, and we're going to talk about all of the changes we made to the build and why we made them. And so we're going to run this just boss on a T15 map, so you can see mapping in here. This is a nice juicy map, so lots of mods, lots of extra damage. Poison and extra cast damage is pretty stout. Now we have a lot of changes to mapping. We're not shield walling much for mapping anymore. We're now using Resonating Shield and Infernal Cry. The way this works is you break armor with Resonating Shield, and then once armor is broken, you can start chaining out Infernal Cries. Infernal Cries are going to continue to break armor by utilizing their Combust feature to break armor on nearby enemies whenever you kill something. And then you're going to continue to kill things by using the Warcry Ground Explosion, and the Warcry Corpse Explosion also has the ability to break armor, which will allow you to Infernal Cry more often. The damage from Infernal Cry is coming from Batter Shout. Batter Shout deals physical damage equal to the armor that is broken on the target. And you can see numbers on the characters before they get fully broken. Most creatures kind of at this level of play are going to have around 5,000 to 6,000 armor, which means that the base damage on Batter Shout is 5,000 to 6,000, which is huge. It's very good damage. And so it allows us to clear the maps very easily between Batter Shout and the Warcry Corpse Explosions. Now, Abyss is fairly simple for us. The only thing that you really need to watch out for are the degens. As you've seen a few times, we get a Desecrate degen on the ground, which is very common in the Abyss, and it's just absolutely insanity how much damage it does. And more specifically, it turns off our recovery. We do have a ton of recovery. Being a life-based character, you have to have recovery because life pools are not big. We've only got 2,400 health on this guy, and I think in good in-game gear, you're really not even going to be looking at 4K health on him, especially with the changes to Giant's Blood. And so, really, recovery is very important. We've done a lot of things to bolster our recovery. We're leeching almost primarily for our recovery. That leech comes from Batter Shout, the leech comes from Resonating Shield, the leech comes from Wind Dancer, as well as any physical damage you do from big explosions. And so, leech is huge for us. We have taken nodes on our tree to slow down our leech. The slowed down leech means that it lasts longer, and then we have leech cannot be removed. So we can sustain our leech stack for 8 seconds, which gives us a long time to recover. And then we just have a lot of increased leech. So it's a slower stack, but it's a much bigger stack and helps to keep us alive much better. And we also have recovery in the form of shield block. So every time we block, we recover life, which keeps us protected from volleys of projectiles or getting surrounded, things like that. Now for single target, it's going to be pretty much the same. You're going to shield wall until the target is stunned. As soon as the target is stunned, you're going to Seismic Cry, and then after Seismic Cry, you're going to drop Hammer of the Gods on a weapon swap. I have gone back and forth on trying to get Shield Wall to do pure boss damage, and it's just not reasonable in gearing to get Shield Wall to do the pure boss damage. And so we're relying on shields to get us through the maps, and then we're relying on Hammer of Gods to do the heavy lifting when we're on bossing. Now, Infernal Cry itself is a fairly fast acting skill, but while moving, it is going to slow you down, so feel free to take mobility to keep you more mobile as you're moving around. Infernal Cry doesn't need too much supports to get going. Batter Shout damage is independent of any supports you have on the skill, and your Corpse Explosion on War Cries is independent of any supports you have on the skill. So you don't have to put too much on the skill itself. You don't want to get slammed. And then we drop a hammer. And you drop shield walls down while the hammer's falling. The hammer will trigger all of your shield walls. Boss dead. Fairly easy. Let's go take a look at the POB. First things first, we're going to go over items on the build. Items on the build are very straightforward. You're going to want a mace that has plus to level of attack skills and a very high base physical damage hit. On our shield, we're going to want as much armor as we can get, as much life as we can get, and then as many secondary defenses on our suffixes as we can get. Additional fizz damage is very good. Armor applies to elemental damage is very good. Resistances are good, etc., etc. The rest of our armor, helm, body armor, gloves, and boots, you're going to want, well, helm, body armor, and boots. You just want armor, life, and resistances, and armor applied to elemental damage. Obviously, on your boots, you need move speed. On your gloves, we don't care about armor on gloves because gloves are primarily an offensive piece for us. So you want flat fizz, flat fire, plus the level of melee skills, attack speed, etc., etc. And then ideally some fire, chaos res, things like that on it. Our amulet, you want plus level of melee skills, life, armor, resistances, good things on your amulet. Rings, you want flat fire, flat fizz, life, attributes, and resistances. And our belt, we want life, armor, and resistances. For our charms, we're running a bleed charm, a freezing charm, and a stun charm. The unique bleed and the unique stun charm are actually very good. And the freezing charm, just get a magic freezing charm that's decent. On our jewels, you just want good stuff on them. I took rage on hit and rage when hit by an enemy and some attack damage. On my Heart of the Well, I got skill speed, which has been very nice, as well as rage on hit, rage when hit by an enemy, and 10% of physical damage prevented recouped his life. Now this one is important, and you absolutely do need one of those on your Heart of the Well. It goes with Made to Last, and we'll talk about this a little bit. So if you have an incoming hit for 1,000 damage, POB bases your incoming damage on an 1,100 and something point hit. And of course, we would have Scavenged Plating up, which we turn on right here. And that would get us up to like 16k armor right here. And then we have some other buffs to our armor that are probably not going to show in POB because POB is a little dated still. So, you know, assume you're at 16k armor. If you have 1,000 point hit incoming, you're going to reduce that by 69%, which means you're going to take 310 damage. But that 690 damage is going to be recouped as 241 damage. So if you take 1,000 point hit, you're going to recoup almost all of it because of Made to Last and our Heart which gives us 10% of physical damage prevented, recouped his life. If we take a 500 point hit, which is much more common, you're going to take one of those, reduce it by 90%, and so you're going to heal back 157 damage, and you're only going to take 50. So you're going to over recover from all the small fizz hits. So in times where you're surrounded and taking a ton of hits or getting projectile barraged, you're actually going to recover faster than the incoming damage. And so I do recommend that you get that on the Heart of the Diamond as well. And so this is how we're going to have our items set up for our passive tree. We did switch over to Warbringer, again, because of Warcaller's Bellow, Renly's Training, Jade Heritage, and Anvil's Weight. Anvil's Weight gives us an extra link on our skills because we no longer need to run Armor Breaker. Jade Heritage is 10% flat fizz reduction, which is huge, especially for degens. Renly's Training saves us 6 block passes on the tree, so this node is the same as saying grants 6 passives. And then Warcaller's Bellow gives us Corpse Explosions and Ignore Warcry cooldowns. So Warbringer is definitely in the best choice for the build overall. The passive tree did not make too many changes, so I won't go over this into a lot of detail. We did take some extra stun build up here so we can get our hammer out faster. We did take Prism Guard up here for some more armor applies as elemental damage. We did take Blood Rush over here for some increased skill speed. And of course we did take Leech's Instant over here, and Life Leech cannot be removed. And Life Leech leeches slower. Now this is in a weapon swap right now. I think if I sat down and respect around some things, I might try to make this not part of a weapon swap. It is critical that fast metabolism is not in your weapon swap passive nodes. You don't want to weapon swap and lose your Life Leech stack. So make sure this is not in your leech, in your passive weapon swaps. But this one is probably okay. When you swap, your Life Leech will just speed up for a second, and then it'll slow back down whenever you go back to your main hand weapons. Everything else on the tree is mostly the same as it was before, and so we won't go over this in too much detail. Our skills did get a lot of changes. Remember, you do need to scale your mace strike that is equipped on the mace that you're using when you are using your main skills. I've gone with Heavy Swing, Fire Attunement, Elemental Armament, Concentrated Area, and Close Combat. This scales your default weapon damage, which scales Stomping Ground for charge and Armor Explosion. Very important. On Resonating Shield, we are running Immolate, Armor Explosion, Heft, and Fire Attunement. You can be super flexible with whatever you want to put here. Resonating Shield's primary purpose is to armor break. It does that passively. And Armor Explosion is a great way to do damage. Outside of that, we're not actually just walking around smashing our shield. So you can choose kind of what you want on Resonating Shield here. Infernal Cry, we are running Corrupting Cry, Batter Shout, and Efficiency. You could 5-link this and put Life Tap on here, or Magnitude, something like that. Efficiency is not necessary. It just makes it nicer. Batter Shout is where all of our damage is coming in. Corrupting Cry is just a little splash of extra damage on top. We're not really relying on that. Shield Wall, you absolutely do need to have Bleed on here, Armor Explosion, Heft, and Heavy Swing. Bleed and Armor Explosion give us tremendous amounts of additional clear, as well as ripping, killing targets that aren't immediately killed by the Shield Wall. It also makes sure that a Bleed is on the boss whenever you are Hammer of the Godsing. Herald of Ash running Magnified Aura, Aura Mastery, Prolonged Duration. Scavenge Plating doesn't get any supports. Wind Dancer gets Life Leech, Armor Explosion, Armor Break, and Armor Demolisher. Again, Wind Dancer is how we're going to sustain Leech when we're not attacking and break armor so that we can spam Batter Shout from Infernal Cry while we're walking around. Seismic Cry has to have Bleed on it. We want to doubly make sure that there is a Bleed on the target as soon as the hammer drops, because Hammer of the Gods is utilizing Bleed 4, which gives 30% more physical damage against bleeding enemies. And so on Hammer of the Gods, we are running Fist of War, Bleed 4, Exploit Weakness, Close Combat, and Heavy Swing. On Shield Charge, we're running Heft, Heavy Swing, Close Combat, and Stun 3. We are focusing on Shield Charge as our primary way of getting stun buildup on the target, because shield charges collision has 50% more stun buildup base. It hits hard with heft, heavy swing, and close combat, and stun 3 causes 150% more total stun buildup. It's half the damage, but 300% of the effect. And so shield charge is how we're pushing the stun bar on bosses. So you're going to drop a shield wall, shield charge into the boss, back and forth. In Case and Jade, we're not really using any supports, nor are we using the skill. If you really want to, you can use it, but I don't ever want to lose the 10% passive fizz reduction, and so we just leave it right there and we don't ever use the skill at all. Now that's how we're going to set up our tree, our skills, and our items on the build as it goes. So far, it's been really strong. For the future of the build, the things that we're going to want to do is start swapping, getting better gear with higher resistances, opening up a suffix on each piece of gear so that we can have strength on our belt, strength on our rings, strength on our armor pieces, because we are going to have to go giant split. There is no other way to scale the single target boss damage other than going Giant's Blood and in our weapon swap having two-handers. Now the two-hander we have on the build right now is a 588 DPS two-hander. It's not impressive, but it has a huge top end on it, and that's what you're looking for. You want the highest fizz damage range and fire damage ranges you can get, because we're only going to hit one time. We want to make sure that hit counts, and then you also want melee weapon skills. But to get high single target, like insta giving boss DPS, we are eventually going to have to run Giant's Blood, dual wield two-handers for the Hammer of the Gods, and that's how we're going to accomplish that. If you have any questions over the build, come by Twitch, come by YouTube, ask. I absolutely love helping people get their build figured out, and so I encourage you to come by and ask all the questions that you have. Thank you very much for watching. Y'all have a wonderful day. Peace.